Hello everybody and welcome back to the British Pokemon League Show Season 2, Week 2. We've already seen some early pace setting from our teams so far this season, and already as we move into Week 2 we've got some huge games. Before we take any look at any fixtures, let's take a quick look at the league tables. We'll start off with the league table of the British Pokemon League East. Shadow Kings, Dogsy's Shadow Kings sit perched atop the British Pokemon League East Division after Week 1, closely followed by Torstar Belgrade and Inglorious Surfers, all picking up wins in Week 1. Already looking like a super close and competitive division as we predicted. Celtic Celebes following down there as well with South Croydon Saws and Newcastle Thundurus too. Newcastle not making the best to start, losing out 2-0 to Shadow Kings, but I'm sure Dave will be back with a bang this week, as well as Draco and Chris, who will be playing each other this week, but we will get onto that in a little bit. And the British Pokemon League table, West Division, Latvian, last season's Season 1 playoff champions, Miami Heat, sitting atop the British Pokemon League West table, getting that 2-0 win over California Bastions, followed by Long Island Goomies and Slithering Sceptiles. Jabba getting the win over last season's finalists, the Bulu boys, and Silly getting the 2-1 win over one of the new ones, 200 Candies. So let's take a look at the schedule for Week 2. We've got Torstar Belgrade, Newcastle Thundurus, our local derby game, opening things up for this week. As I said, big derby game. Both Wio and Dave played each other twice last season, and they shared wins, so this could go either way. After that, we've got Shadow Kings taking on Aaron's Inglorious Surfers. This will be a close one, and we've got a very special surprise in terms of commentary for that game, so keep an eye out for that. And finally, for the East Division, we've got Crizzle South Croydon Saws taking on Celtic Celebes. Both teams looking for their first win of the season. In the West Division, we have got a repeat of last season's grand finals. Latvians Miami Heat taking on the Bulu boys. That ought to be an absolute cracker. Followed by Slithering Sceptiles taking on 200 Candies. Jabba, as we said, getting a really great Week 1 win over Bulu boys. Candies losing out very narrowly to the Long Island Goomies. And finally, Californian Bastions taking on the Long Island Goomies, as we mentioned. Bastions looking to bounce back from that heavy 2-0 loss to Miami Heat. Goomies will be looking to continue that Week 1 form. As we said, got the 2-1 win over Candies. Without further ado, though, we're going to take a look at the teams for our first game. Torstar Belgrade taking on Newcastle Thundurus. So, as we saw last week, Dave pretty much employed the team that we expected him to bring. We saw that Insyn and Lando T Intim duo come out against Dogsy's Comfort and Salamence duo, and we saw a little bit as well of Ninetales and Venusaur, but Dave not really able to sort of use the duo he wanted. I think Ninetales went down before he was able to get the Venusaur in to make use of that Sun, and in game 2, Hatterene and Galisipod not really able to sort of get anything going or how they wanted to. Dave choosing to Dynamax the Galisipod then, unfortunately went straight down to Dogsy's Salamence. The Salamence was just a bit too strong for Dave to handle. And of course, on the other side, Wheels, Torstar Belgrade getting the Week 1 Game 1 win over Crizzle South Croydon Saws. Rotom Heat coming out for last week, and you know, it probably didn't do as much as Wheel was hoping for, but I think it's always a pick that Dave needs to be mindful of, as he has that Levitate ability, and if he does choose to set up the Sun with Ninetales, you are giving Rotom Heat that buff. Obviously, he has the Thunderbolt with it being electric fire as well, you know, any kind of electric attack. Jellicent really putting in the work in Week 1 for Wheel, so that's definitely a Pokemon to watch out for. And the Drapion, I think if the Drapion does come, it'll be hoping to get a few more critical hits with that sniper ability. Be eager to sort of see if the Umbreon Oranguru or any of the other support mons on Wheel's team come this week. Obviously, Serena made an appearance in Week 1, and that can be a strong Pokemon, you know, either stopping the priority moves or with the Sweet Veil can stop those status moves popping off. And of course, Corviknight G-Max. It might have went down each game last week, but it is a really strong Pokemon. That Mirror Arm could be really big against Dave's lead duo of Insyn and Thundurus. So, you know, something that Wheel's got to be mindful of. And we'll, without further ado, let's get ourselves into our first game. Torstar Belgrade taking on the Newcastle Thundurus, as Weo starts off with the Corviknight and the Umbreon this time. So Corviknight and Umbreon, and Dave kicking off things with the Venusaur and the Ninetales. So Venusaur getting that Chlorophyll ability procced, and that means it'll be going uber fast. The sun is set up. And now that Ninetales is a strong special attacker, it can hold its own. Obviously, typically people do run the Venusaur with the Torkoal. Gives you two options, means they can't set up the Trick Room on you because you're enabling Torkoal. And you know, Venusaur becomes a very fast Froggo. On the other side, that Corviknight is going to have to watch out for that Ninetales. Is weak to the Ninetales. Corviknight goes for Gmail. The Sleep Powder comes off and it hits the Umbreon as Heat Wave comes out. The super effective move on the Corviknight. The Occa Berry stops it from taking too much damage. G-Max Wind Rage into the Venusaur. The Cobra Berry stops the Venusaur from taking too much of it. The Venusaur not going for G-Max just yet. But that Umbreon going to sleep straight off the bat is not a great start for Weo. Obviously that Sleep Powder is, you know, it does take an accuracy check. It's not the most accurate of moves. You are rolling with the dice for that go, but Venusaur does now go for its G-Max. Max Guard comes out from the Corviknight. The Max Flare from the Venusaur. Who would have thought that Venusaur with the Max Flare? Heat Wave into the Umbreon does a bit more chip damage. Leftovers get some of that health back for the Umbreon is keeping it around the game, but only a little bit of damage off to the Venusaur in that first turn. No damage that second time round. The Corviknight, as you said, going for Max Guard, and unfortunately no one turn wake up for the Umbreon, unfortunately for Weo. So they'll be hoping that Umbreon does wake up soon and can start getting some maybe some stat drops or maybe a yawn or something, or try and even the playing field. So both opponents now trying to wedge it. Obviously Weo now knows that Venusaur has a fire attack, knows that that Ninetales can do damage with the Heat Wave. Obviously, so he's potentially hitting both opponents. So Corviknight though swapping out, Weo sacking off his G-Max and bringing in the Jellicent. So it's going to take that Max Flare pretty handedly. It's a pretty solid swapping. That Heat Wave does so much damage. Takes the Jellicent down below 50% HP. Umbreon does quite just about hang on though. So a really good time for Dave there. You know, maybe I think it's still a smart swapping. You know, I think Weo then knows that the Venusaur is faster and has either got to try and swap it in or you know, hope for some sort of miracle. Detect comes out from the Umbreon as they finally up. Max Quake though, another great swapping. Stops that Leviton grab. The Heat Wave does take out the Corviknight, and that is first blood to Dave as Venusaur's G-Max ends. So great swapping to stop the Quake, but unfortunately the Heat Wave, that seems to be Specs Ninetales there, so able to live that Quake, but the Heat Wave too much for it. It's way too strong. Corviknight goes, and Sleep Powder hits again though, takes down the Flygon. Sleep puts that in, and the Heat Wave takes out the Umbreon now, doing a little bit of damage there to Flygon, but Flygon is now asleep. Another Sleep Powder hitting on the side of Weo. That's two in a row now. And Venusaur Ninetales turn 5 is still sitting there. The drought has even ended now. Heat Wave comes out again from the Ninetales. The Sludge Bomb into Jellicent. Jellicent does quite hang on, maybe fishing for the poison. Using the Strong Staff to get some of that HP back. Obviously, Ninetales is a special attacker, so the attack drop's not going to care too much. But Weo, smart stuff to keep the Jellicent kicking around in the game. Obviously, can now do some damage now that that drought is gone. Heat Wave does miss the Flygon, and Jellicent is resisted. But the Burn comes out. Flygon does wake up, but the Rock Slide only hits the Venusaur. That Weo's not hoping for that. Was obviously wanting that to do damage to the Ninetales. There is the Strong Staff there again. Get that some of that HP back for the Jellicent. Flygon still kicking around. Obviously, we are hoping for a Rock Slide hit there. Try and take out that Ninetales, which has been so troublesome. U-turn though does take out the Venusaur, and Heat Wave again into both mons. It gets the Burn now on Flygon. That's going to drop its attack. Jellicent just keeping itself around with those strengths up. But Dave finally loses them on. In comes Incin. Get that Intim off on the Flygon as well. That Flygon is pretty much nullified at this point. Rock Slide comes in, but only hits the Incin, and look how little damage that does. Heat Wave again does miss the Flygon. This is just becoming a complete game of RNG. Scald finally comes out, gets a crit, and finally the Ninetales goes down. Darkest Lariat into the Jellicent with that Culber Berry is not going to matter. It's going to go down for its troubles, and Flygon now eventually is going to go down to this burn damage as Lando T comes in, as Newcastle Thundurus is going to take this game number 1. What a game of attrition, as per usual with Dave's games, going all the way to something like 10, 7 or 8. You know, you're always in for an absolute spectacle when Dave's on. Rock slide, misses the instant and hits the landing tee. There's the U-turn into the Flygon to get the job done. Dave taking game numero uno, 1-0 as he looks to try and close this out. As we move on into game number 2. The Hatterene and Glyspot is kicking around there in that team of 6, but it's whether Dave chooses to bring it. As this time, Corviknight and Pokemon, the Serena, the instant comes in. That Mirror Armor does proc to swap that attack drop back onto Instant, and it's Hatterene this time for Dave. So Dave's switching things up. Said Weo has brought the Corviknight again, and the Serena's out just to stop any cheeky sleep powders, but that's maybe risky on Weo's side, knowing that both Mons would be weak to a fire attack. Corviknight does have that Octoberry, which is good, but Protect comes out from the Serena and also from the Hatterene as well. The Steel Spike goes into the Serena. It's a good protect from there from Dave. Does get the defense buff for the Corviknight as well. The Flare Blitz goes in, and even with the Octoberry, that's going to do absolutely nothing. Completely nullifying that damage with that attack drop and the defense buff from the Steel Spike. So good turn all around there from Weo. Does mean that the Octoberry is gone now and procs. And the Jellicent now swaps in as the Ninetales swaps in for the Instant to get the drought up. The Max Steel Spike does take out the Hatterene. The Hatterene goes down for his troubles, and now Corviknight with the 2 times defense, Jellicent with the 1.5 times defense, getting that defense buff up, and in comes the Venusaur for a sweet free switch in. So here we go again. We are facing off against the familiar duo of game number 1. And he knows just how strong that Ninetales is. Whether he's worked out whether it's specs yet, I don't know, but it seemed pretty obvious from the heat wave spam in game 1. Corviknight swapping out again, sacking off the G-Max to get the Serena in, and obviously expecting the sleep out there. The Max Flare from the Venusaur, and oh, Serena goes straight down from the switch in. Solar Beam as well into the Jellicent. Jellicent just about hangs on. Scald under the sun is not going to do anywhere near enough. Ninetales going down below half HP for its troubles as in comes the Flygon. So we are, as we said, expecting the sleep powder there, but it's now 1 down a piece of 3v3. Great turn from Dave there, as his Rio was trying to fish for the sleep powder, but in comes the Instant to get that attack trip on the Flygon again. Max Ooze onto the Flygon's not going to do much, but is going to get that special attack up for that Venusaur, just doing so much damage. U-turn comes out from the Flygon, so you can get that switch in to Corviknight. There's the Scald onto the Instant, not really doing a lot of damage on that Instant, especially while the sun's up. We all need to try and wait it out, wait till the sun goes down to try and take down these Firemons, and I hope that it can, he can live that Venusaur's attacks. The Venusaur's just doing so much work with that Max Flare. Who would have thought a Grass Poison one gets a fire move, Absolutely sensational. Corviknight swaps out, in comes the Flygon again to tank that Max Flare. That still does a lot of damage for a resistant move. Strength Sap now comes out from the Jellicent, gets itself back up to 93% HP. That Cobblberry means that the Darkest Larry not doing anywhere near as much, and that attack drop really big there from that Strength Sap. So good play there from Weo, as the Venusaur's G-Max now does finally end. Sun about to end in the next turn or 2, so this is good news for Weo. It's still 3v3. As you said, has an attack drop. The sleep powder though, it comes in, it misses the Jellicent this time, and the Rock Slide does manage to hit both, trying to get a flinch as the Citrus Berry procs on the Instant and does get the flinch. That Citrus Berry has been burned though now, and the Sun now finally ends, so the Jellicent now can start doing some damage to potentially that Instant, but Dave can swap in the Ninetales here. Rock Slide again from the Flygon, not really doing much of the sleep powder, misses again on the Jellicent. Scald takes down the Instant. It's now 2v3, but Dave's now going to get a free switch into that Drought Ninetales, and Venusaur now is going to be going zoom zoom. Flygon still kicking around. Jellicent on the other side doing some big damage, but now those Scalds are going to be nullified. Sleep powder misses for a 3rd time. In comes the Heat Wave. Flygon just managed to hang on just about. There's the U-turn from the Flygon into the Venusaur, doing a little bit of chip damage to get that Corviknight back in. There's the Scald onto the Ninetales. It does go down, it doesn't live that. So Venusaur now with it all to do a 1v3. It's 3 sleep powders in a row though. There's the Weather Ball though from the Venusaur, and there it is. Ice Beam does take out the Venusaur, but it's the Weather Ball. That was what the Max Flare was, so great move choice there from Dave. Weather Ball does take out the Corviknight. Absolutely so smart there from Dave. And there it is. There is the familiar duo of Game 1. It's the exact same as Corviknight Umbreon versus the world versus Venusaur and Ninetales. Nearly called Venusaur Ivysaur there. That's how behind we are. And There's the swap in. That's a good switch in from Wheel. But oh, it takes the heat wave though. It stops the sleep, but it does end up going down. And the Umbreon just get a yawn off on the Venusaur. Obviously, Dave can now swap out the Venusaur if he wants. His Jellicent swaps in instead of the Corviknight, so a good swap in there for Wheel. But the Serena going straight down to a Sunburst boosted Heat Wave. Not doing too much to the Umbreon, but the Serena was never tanking that. As the Ninetales swaps out the Incin, swaps in, gets the Intim off. Detect comes out from the Umbreon, and a Protect from the Jellicent stops that Sleep Powder from going off. And now the Venusaur is asleep, so a good turn there from Wheel, stalling it out and make sure that Venusaur goes night-night. But good switch in from there from Dave. Get that attack drop on the Jellicent. Obviously that Jellicent is now free to start getting some strong saps if it does lose some HP. So a massive war of attrition so far, and again, you know, a lot of British Pokemon League games are usually looking all but over by turn 3 and 4. But, you know, this game is going all the way to turns 8 and 9s, and it's impossible to call. So, Dave, obviously, both Dave and Wheel haven't used their Dynamax yet. I mean, or their Gmax. Fake Out comes out from the Umbreon, but that is probably going to be in a focus Umbreon. And there it is, gets the Snarler to drop the special attack of the Venusaur and the Incin. Ice Beam comes out from the Jellicent. That takes the Venusaur down below half HP. His Venusaur stays asleep for this time. So I wonder now, is Umbreon's going to just start start Snarl spamming just to start trying to just nullify that Venusaur as much as he possibly can. And obviously he's hitting both mons, so if that Ninetales does swap in, runs the risk of losing a bit of special attack and damage. Jellicent's still kicking about. Obviously Dave does still have that Ninetales to swap in if the Sun does go down. There's the Snarl again, drop that special attack even further. Darkest Lariat into Jellicent. The Cold Berry is going to keep around. There's the Ice Beam to take out the Venusaur. So First Blood to Wheel. I mean, sorry, not First Blood. It is now 3 apiece. My apologies. I forgot Serena had gone down there. It was hidden by the scoreline. And in comes the Ninetales now. Now Ninetales, the Wheel does now know that Ninetales has Solar Beam. So doesn't need to watch out for that. There's Jellicent going for the Dynamax. Detect comes out from the for the Umbreon. Solar Beam into the Jellicent, gets the crit. Jellicent just about hangs on. The Darkest Lariat is going to take it out. So we are completely burning his Dynamax there. Jellicent not even getting the move off. And in comes the Corviknight now to try and clean this up. It's 2v3 and Dave still hasn't used the Dynamax on his side. Still has that spare. Drought still Drought has now gone down, sorry, for the Ninetales. And in comes the Lando T. The Mirror Armor is going to swap that attack around. Inner Focus stops it from stopping him run from taking that Intim. There's the Snarl onto Incin and Lando T again. Flare Blitz into the Corviknight. Ockerberry is going to sort of nullify that damage, but it can't take another one. Surely that Incin's going to be doing so much damage. And Lando T now, or Incin, are now completely free to use their Dynamax. Or you could swap in the Ninetales and get some fire boosted attacks for Incin. And not a great turn from Wheel, unfortunately. Dave with all the cards, and Incin does swap out. There's the Drought, so swaps out the Incin, and there's the Lando T with the Dynamax. Protect comes out from the Corviknight. That's going to stop some damage going off. The Max Airstream into the Airstream. Airstream does tank. Not Airstream, sorry. Umbreon, sorry. I'm all to part here. Umbreon does tank that damage. There's not even an Airstream in any of the Team of 6 here. And that's a good. That gets that speed control for Dave. I think he was faster anyway, but it's always useful to have just in case when the Corviknight might be running a tailwind or something. So smart plays there. What can Corviknight really do here? You know, one Heat Wave and that is gonna go down. I think I don't think Umbreon really is capable of doing any kind of sort of attacking damage apart from the Snarl. So it's 2v3. Wheel with it all to do. There's the Heat Wave. Corviknight goes down. Umbreon goes below half HP. There's the Max Flow by on the Umbreon, and Umbreon goes down. Dave takes the game 2-1. Gets the win over Wheel once again. A repeat of the game last season, the second time round. Dave gets another one under the belt, the 2-1 over Wio now, and that gets Dave now back to the 1-1 record, so does nullify that sort of poor start against Dogsy, and they're now both switched to the 1-1 record, so Wio will be hoping to bounce back last week, but an absolutely sensational game, by the way. I think the first two games, it's really hard to argue whether that was more decided between RNG. There was a lot of sleep powder hits, there was a lot of sleep powder misses, there was a lot of rock slide hits, but that is the way Pokemon goes, that is the way the cookie crumbles. You can sit here and sort of, curse your luck and curse your RNG, but at the end of the day, it comes down to these rolls and these things can happen, you know what I mean? That Game 3 though, sensational stuff from both players. We were a little bit unlucky with that crit, but you always got to prepare for that. But great games to Dave and great games to Wii as well. As we take a look at game number 2, Shadow Kings versus Inglorious Surfers. This is the 4th time these two have faced each other. Obviously, last season, Aaron won the first time round, and Dogsy unfortunately had to forfeit when they placed the second time round due to it being unavailable. But Dogsy did knock out Aaron in the Season 1 playoffs. Aaron obviously dropping down to the losers bracket. Dogsy happily taking him as he made his way to his losers bracket run. Last week, Aaron making really great use of the Kingdra and the Darmanitan getting some big kills, and Bulu as well. Bulu do a little bit work when it wasn't completely stopped by Draco's Haunter, but that Kingdra, while it was supported by the Thundy, with the Rain Dance, able to do such big damage. Holuch as well did bits with that unburden ability. So 2 unburden ones on Aaron's team. So Dogsy is going to have to watch out for that, in terms of speed control. To maybe bring something to block a Trick Room or something, or try and get some Tailwind up. Obviously, the Aaron has got a lot of flying mons here, and 2 pretty strong ones. 2 Galar Birds, Moltres Galar and Articuno Galar. Neither have came yet. So do we see one of them on the field? Obviously, last time round, Dogsy brought in the Intim Salamence, so maybe Aaron brings competitive Articuno Galar to try and sort of counter against that. But on Dogsy's side, obviously last week, Salamence and Comfort, such a strong duo against Dave's Newcastle Thundurus, and the Urshifu single strike cleaning up the afters as well. So Aaron is going to have to watch out for that if he does bring the Galar Articuno. And will we see the Weakness Policy Comfort proc onto the Salamence again, or does Dogsy maybe switch it up? Grimmsnarl can run as a physical attacker, is a very strong physical attacker as well, and having that Dynamax option there is really good. And Katana as well, 181 base attack is nothing to sort of look down your nose at. Really strong defense stats as well, and pretty speedy. Running with Assault Vest, that Katana can be really, really troublesome. And obviously has that Clef there as well for Follow Me, so that redirection. Whether we see the likes of Combusken, Altaria, or maybe a Ditto make an appearance, who knows. But it is time for a very, very special commentary right now. As during this game, I had the coach of Toadstar Belgrade beside me to commentate over this. So I will hand it over to us both and let you take in this game between Shadow Kings and Inglorious Surfers. Alright, here we go then. It is Aaron T. Marshall versus the Dogs, Toadstar Belgrade. Coach Wio, right here next to Mr. Yagato, as we take on... We watch Shadow Kings take on the Inglorious Surfers. We've got the Galarian Articuno. I wish them good luck, have fun.
Don't bother, Mr. Star.
Don't bother?
They don't need good luck and having fun. No. I believe Aaron's team here, clearly the superior choice. He has a wide selection of Pokemons. Okay. He has Macho Libre, he has a small little horseman, he has a cupcake. And who can stand up to that?
Well, Dogsy did have the cupcake last year.
Exactly.
And Aaron is completely... He's been in the cake shop, he's grabbed a big slice of cake.
He has beaten a Greg.
So the Solomon's Comfort is sitting in there again. Obviously, it was a big problem for the big dog.
Especially with a weakness policy upon it. However, Dogsy, he has a lot of support mons here, and I just fail to see where the damage is going to come from, Mr. Star.
Well, I think, the Ditto has to be considered there, considering it's the only mon Dogsy knows how to use. It's Grimsnar Clefairy leading against the Galarian Articuno and the Thundurus.
Intriguing, Mr.
No
Star.
Articuno and Mr. T.
There is a lot of speed control coming out from Aaron's side, and yet I see absolutely none from Dogsy. Could this be a misplay?
The shiny Grimsnar as well, they're staring down Aaron T. Marshall.
Does have some very pink feet. I am quite concerned about this, Mr. Star.
It does look a little bit like Trenchfoot, I'm not going to lie.
It does. I would be very upset if I were him. Don't wear wellies, kids.
Gangrene going on in Clefairy's ear there as well.
We all have a bit of that, don't we, Mr. Star?
Well, yeah, it's just part and parcel of being a professional Pokemon player.
Exactly, I haven't showered for months.
No. The Thundurus goes for the Dynamax Protect, comes out from the cleft. There's the Thunderwave, the Grimmsnarl, paralyzes the Articuno. Steel Spike into the Grimmsnarl, just about hanging on. Defense buffs for Articuno and Thundurus. The freezing glare
into the Protect. You cannot write this, Mr. Star.
Absolutely sensational stuff in the British Pokemon League.
But you know what they say, ladies and gents?
There's plenty more Pokemon left to play.
There certainly is, Mr. Star. You got that right.
So he gets the power off that. It's going to slow Articuno down and, Dogsy.
Potentially also with the power hacks. We know how prominent they have been in British Pokemon League so far this season.
Dogsy especially.
Oh, definitely. He's a very big cheater in this game. He has spent a lot of money on Mr. Star. He has
He's the only one who spoils me, to be honest, in this league.
You do need a sugar daddy, that is correct, sir. Unfortunately,
Follow me comes out from the cleft, the light screen goes up from the Grimmsnarl, the Steel Spike, the cleft, just about hanging on.
Oh my goodness, and the freezing glare into the Clefairy takes it out.
Articuno getting the first blood. 4v3 against Dogsy. Aaron with the advantage early on.
And you'll love to see Aaron just snowballing the small minor advantages he's been given.
Getting those defense buffs up.
Two support mons, you wouldn't think it's going to be a useful thing to happen, but here comes
the Salamence, the big green blob.
Now for Aaron, this is where you have to be concerned. Salamence can have a lot of abilities. It can have multi-scale.
It's not Intimidate. No Intimidate proc, so it's potentially Moxie.
It doesn't have multi-scale. I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's Dragonite.
Both
different dragon. Stop or we're going to dragon these balls across.
Honestly, Mr. Star, I would welcome that opportunity. Now, with light screen up, you have to think Grimmsnarl won't give a hit, but Salamence, it's got a lot of bulk. You've got to be thinking weakness policy here may be activated.
Is Dogsy maybe just waiting for the Grimmsnarl to go down? There's the Salamence with the Dynamax. Reflect goes up from the Grimmsnarl, Steel Spike and the Grimmsnarl goes down, gets another defense buff on Aaron's side.
Very tanky Aaron's team.
And there's the max airstream for the Galarian Articuno.
More speed control coming out from Dogsy.
And freezing glare into Salamence does about
nothing.
14% damage as Mr. Thundurus.
Mr. Thundurus!
The Thundurus' Dynamax ends it. In comes the Clefairy, presuming for that weakness policy proc.
As much as I rag on Dogsy, he has a great setup here. He has his proc of the weakness policy, he has both screens up. Salamence and G-Max, 2 more turns. Aaron has none left.
Oh, the helping hand! No, weakness policy broke the max rock ball. That's going to. It doesn't take out the Galarian Articuno. Gets the sunset. Iron Tail comes out. The Citrusberry beats Clefairy to get the health back. Freezing glare at the Clefairy as well. Clefairy just
moves comfortably. The screen's really putting him working.
Yeah, for the Sunstone damage as well, chipping away there at all 4 months. Got light screen and reflect both up for another 3 or 5 times.
So this quite reminds me of our college days,
Oh yes, all those years ago. Draining Kiss comes out from the Clefairy into the Thundurus. Airstream into the Galarian Articuno.
Articuno has to go down.
Articuno goes down.
However, that is...
Moxie does proc on the Salamence. There's the wild charge into the Clefairy.
Not quite. Will the weather take it out though? It
does! It's Salamence against the world. 1v3 as Salamence's Dynamax does end. In comes the Bulu.
He's ringing his bell.
The Bulu boy.
It's a very large count, Mr. Star, I have to admit, and with the D-Max gone, I'm not sure if Dogsy will have the pushing power. Like I said earlier, too many support mons, not enough damage.
Well,
too many cooks
Dogsy is well known for having pushing power. As
Rock
Slide comes out,
big.
Does take
Mr.
out the
T
Thundurus.
Is down, baby.
Is it? He gets the Moxie. Is it? The Dazzling Gleam comes out. Oh, Salamence just lives that.
Still tanky housing. This is very important, Mr. Star. Does Grimmsnarl have... It has light clear, so the screens are still for another 3 turns at least.
Lucha comes out next to support that Tapu Bulu.
It's Rey Mysterio, Mr. Star, you know what that means.
No Grassy Seed this time.
You know what that means, Mr. Star?
Booyaka, booyaka! It's going to be a 619 coming out, coming Dogsy's way. I don't count Salamence. Oh, the dual Wimby! One hits the Horlucha, gets Moxie for a third time. And Dazzling Gleam, it hangs on! But the Sandstorm takes out the Salamence! And Aaron wins game number 1.
I swear you'll never see anything like this again in the history of the British Pokemon League!
Absolute scenes as Sandstorm does just enough.
And if that is game 1, Mr. Star, you have to think
What have we got in
3.
store for
Absolutely
game 2?
sensational.
Salamence nearly just getting the 1v3 off there in the end. Absolutely unbelievable, Jeff.
I wonder if the Dibble will make an appearance this game, you know.
I don't know, I think it's just there just to play spoiler, to be honest.
I always thought Ditto was there because Dogsy actually has no good Pokemon, but he has to steal everyone else. But, you know, Aaron's proved today that his team is better, as is every other team in the British Pokemon
Game 1. I cannot believe that Salamence was able to live that dazzling clip from the Tapu Bulu. Absolutely sensational.
But you have to think if Tapu Bulu had Grassy Fly, nothing would have been
It would
different.
be the year 3000 we would be in right now. Rillaboom would be non-existent. No one would ever use it.
And, well, the little cupcake princess that Aaron has on his team, I wonder if we'll see that this game, you know? That and Kingdra.
Might just get a slice of that cake as Tapu Bulu launches with the Slurper.
Oh, getting a slice of that cake.
Let's get a slice. And the Clef and Salamence for Dogsy.
It's okay, I forget about him too, he's very insignificant.
Grassy Seed this time on the Slurper. Gets that unburdened puck.
We all know Salamence a huge threat in this league, and Clefairy with that friend guard, with the following, it's going to be very difficult to get him. Obviously, the dual attacking moves on Powerpuff and Ring My Bell, great names by the way, guys, could really do a number on that Salamence, so he has to be careful.
Well, just like Tapu Bulu, I wish someone would ring my bell. But
don't worry, Mr.
My
Star.
doorbell never goes.
The night is getting in.
That's very true. I'm expecting to see a dazzling gleam here out from the Slurper. I'd probably just double dazzling
I
gleam
would
here,
expect
right? Just
so.
to get the spread moves off.
Unless this is a counterplay from Dogsy, of course, Clefairy can learn things like Ally Switch. It can also just use an attacking move, or potentially a screen, and let Salamence just go through. Potentially it could be proccing the weakness policy.
Oh, that would be interesting. I don't think I've ever seen Clef ever proc a weakness policy, but the helping hand comes out from the Clef. Big tears from the Slurper for the dazzling gleam. Oh, it just doesn't do anything. And the Quake into the Slurper gets that special defense buffed up just a little bit more. Dazzling gleam from Bulu just doing absolutely nothing.
Well, you have to remember, Slurpuff would obviously have the advantage with the stab attack there. However, obviously Bulu not coming with the fake tears on itself. It needs that support one to work away at this Salamence, keep chipping away at it. You know what to say? You know, I love to be assaulted, and so does this Pokemon. Another helping hand,
dazzling gleam from the Slurpuff. That's the first one. There's the second one. Salamence hangs on for dear life. Steel Spike into the Slurpuff is going to take it out, and that is advantage to Dogsy. Salamence does get the Moxie proc as well.
You also have to wonder how important will this grassy terrain be. You know, so far it's healed up 8% of that Salamence's health. If that lets it survive another hit, you know, that would be quite
just sapping away at that terrain, just sucking it dry.
He likes to suckle on the teat of nature, I've heard.
In comes the Hornucha, that Mold Breaker.
His mold has been broken. 619!
It's about 619, that Salamence.
What we see from the quest, we know that Rey Mysterio doesn't have an AoE attack.
No. We do know Bulu is faster than Salamence, yes. And I don't think it lives another dazzling gleam.
Oh yeah.
Okay, special defense has risen. Oh, and there it goes! Salamence taken out really quickly.
Salamence
Max
out
from Rey Mysterio!
Clef does hang on through the Max Ooze.
You've got to think those...
T-Wave into the Tapu Bulu, that could be important.
You've got to think the defensive bonuses that Clefairy's been given here could really be helping out in this game with the start. It's still a great mon, however, you look at Dogsy's team and you think, Urshifu with damage? Grimmsnarl,
I mean, Urshifu is 4 annoying kills this year.
The Urshifu, you know, one of the carries of the league, really well played by Silly last year.
The dazzling gleam, unfortunately, from the Tapu Bulu.
I'm not quite sure which is faster, to be honest, Mr. Star.
Oh, we're about to find out.
That's what we like to hear in the British Pokemon League.
In the British Pokemon
You know, this has been a great game so far, Mr. Star, but I would just like to thank our sponsor, the B-Drill Drilling Company. They've really helped us out, sponsored the programme quite a bit. And
contributing to 20% of global warming in the...
Only 20%? They are well below target recently, Mr. Star, but you know how it is.
The Unova region is completely underwater now. Follow Me comes out from the Clef. There's the Airstream that is going to take out the Clef and just get the speed up on Bulu.
This could be big.
Rey Mysterio.
Wicked Blow
gets
the crits as well.
The crit, but it's not enough. It doesn't gleam. It's enough to take Ashview out, and it is now 1v3.
They think it's all over, Mr. Star.
And
they think it's all over.
Is about to get his second win of the British Pokemon League Season 2 over Dogsy.
The
Draining Kiss comes out. There's the Max Ooze into the Comfort.
Lives it, quite surprising.
Does live it, but I think that's just
a formality. Oh, the Paralyzing could be having a baby.
It's about to bring it back as the Dynamax does end on the Horlucha. Draining Kiss again.
Draining Kiss. Healing right back.
Healing right up to full health. There's the Poison Jab.
32%. No more.
There's the Dazzling Gleam. Takes it out, and that is game. Aaron with the 2.
A great game
victory
from Aaron. Really well played. Knew all of Dog's weaknesses, which are many, admittedly. But you know, an amazing player, and you have to think, if he is this good at this point of the season, he might be able to do better than Gus was last year.
What an absolutely sensational game. I hope you all really enjoyed that commentary with Weo. It was, many thanks to Weo as well for joining me on that commentary. We had an absolute blast doing it. He's so over the top, and yeah, it was really great fun to commentate over that game. Such a fantastic game as well. Really looked like Dogsy might bring it back in that game one, Solomon's 1v3ing. But Aaron played it so well and just completely shut it down in that game too. So major props to Aaron and GG's to both players. Speaking of Aaron though, we have got the man himself in voice chat ready to speak to. So we'll swap it over to the interview screen and let's have a few words from the winner of that game. Oh, we're down here. Let's adjust the camera. Aaron, hello. How are you doing, man?
I am all good, sir. How are you,
Good.
Matt Starr?
I'm real good. Even watching that back again, I'm still like on the edge of my seat after that game one. I was absolutely balmy. So first of all, I want to say congrats to getting the win. That's 2 wins in a row now. So you're 2-0 on top of the league after week 2. So how are you feeling? The first 2 weeks have gone for you.
Yeah. Much better than season 1. Much more, less mistakes. But yeah, much more calmer. I'm more comfortable with the team I've got. And, game 1 was quite like hit and miss, actually. It could have gone either way. The Salamence gave me hell.
Yeah, like that thing is so like in game 1 when the screens were set up, I was like, okay, that's fair enough. It's living the Dazzling Gleams. But game 2, like it survived 3 Dazzling Gleams and was just like, even with the special defense drop, was just like, fair enough. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Slurpuff and both Slurpuff and Bulu, who were doing stab moves, couldn't really do much to it.
Couldn't touch it.
There was a point where I was like, oh god, okay. But to be honest, props to Dogsy. Like, I actually brought a team to deal with the Salamence.
Right.
And he actually made the Salamence to deal with the team that I brought. Right. So props to him.
Yeah, he obviously had the rock move to deal with any flying types and then the steel.
Yeah.
So he built a really strong team there. But obviously you brought Atakunagala and Thundurus with the Defiant ability. Was that just in preparation for the Intim coming out from the Salamence?
Actually, the Articuno was, but the Defiant Thundurus was for the Intimidate, but also for the Steel Spikes. I wanted to get those Steel Spikes onto the Fairy types that he had.
Oh, okay. So you're running a more special attacking build, Thundurus, rather than speed. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. But they both did really good work that first game. So it's really great to see just how many different sort of chess pieces you've got and how many you can switch it around. So in terms of Dogsy's team, did he bring everything you sort of expected? Did anything sort of throw you off, or did you just feel pretty calm and confident and comfortable going in? Seeing his
I did actually. Yeah, I did expect the Comfy and Salamence, which did come in the end. Urshifu as well.
Right.
I wasn't expecting the Grimmsnarl, but he did actually bring it, and it actually really did help in game 1. So
yeah, it tanked. Was it a Max Steel Spike? It tanked in that game 1 and just managed to somehow just live it. It's just so much bulk on Dogsy's team. It's just crazy, but
it is.
It was really great to see Bulu coming out doing the work. Obviously, week 1 we'll just speak about that week 1 game 1. Was there some pretty severe flashbacks to season 1 there?
Oh, most definitely. I was like, oh god, here we go, two KOs. But yeah, poor Bulu. It had a rough time in against Draco, but it managed to redeem itself against dogs.
You definitely brought it back against Draco really well, and it said it did its bit against Dogsy for sure. Even once it got paralysed, it was still putting in the work, and then the grassy terrain obviously procking those berries. Obviously, week 1 you had out on Horlucha, this time you had on Slurpuff, so it just seems to sort of what's the word, like synergize really well with those. You wouldn't normally think with those two, especially Slurpuff, 2 fairy types, but with Slurpuff having Unburden and having the grassy side, it just lines up really nicely. For me personally, it's just nice to see Bulu just doing some work,
Well, I've got to make him proud, for you.
I'd feel a little bit aggrieved if Bulu was just dying every week. It's the same with Latvian having my Centre Scorch. If that thing just sort of gets flattened all this season, I'm going to feel pretty personally offended. But it's looking really good. So obviously next week you have got the Big Dog Dave. You've got Newcastle Thundurus, who picked up the win over Torstar Belgrade. So what are you sort of expecting from Dave's team? Then obviously he's got two sort of sides to a coin that he can bring. He's got the sun side of it with Venusaur, Ninetales, which proved to be so unbelievably strong. The weather ball on the Venusaur, and then he's got the Lando T and Insane. So with that sort of what's the word here? What am I trying to say? Like with that sort of mold, how you build like your team, are you going to build something specifically for both those sides, or are you going to just go with your strongest team against Dave?
No, I think I've got to be careful against Dave's team because the Sun Core is just so powerful, as he showed. So I've got to prep against it, and to be honest though, Dave has to sort of prep against me as well because of those 2 Intimidate users. You don't want to be proccing any Defiant or competitive abilities, dude.
No, absolutely not. So it's going to be a really great game. Obviously, Dave's going to be wanting to carry on that form, and you've been with that. Yeah,
definitely
looking to get that 3-0. So it's really great just to see the sort of the different, like how season 1 went for you and how season 2 went for you. So I really hope it's not going to like mirror image and it just like reverses. Season 1,
it did terrible towards the end.
That would be so fun.
Let's hope not.
But no, it's looking really promising for you. You're playing some really good Pokemon. So it's always good to see. So that's it. That's all I've got time for, unfortunately. So thank you very much for your time today, Aaron, and GG's once again on the win over Dogsy.
Thank you, Mr. Star.
No worries, Aaron.
Yes, looking forward to the matches ahead.
Great stuff. And we'll speak to you another time, Aaron. See you later, man.
All right. See ya.
Bye. That was Aaron T. Marshall, the coach of the Inglorious Surfers there, getting the win over Dogsy's Shadow Kings. Aaron sounds pretty damn confident going into the rest of the season and has made quite a statement going 2-0 already. So we'll move on to our third and final game of the British Pokemon League East Division, and it is the South Carolina Saws taking on the Celtic Celebes. As you can see, both these teams have not fit, so there's quite a lot of firsts for the league this season. There's a lot of teams who haven't played each other before, with obviously that comes with having new teams, and both of these teams looking for their first victory. Obviously Celtic going down to Aaron's Inglorious Surfers week 1, and the Saws going down to Torstar Belgrade, both to 2-1 scoreline. So potentially a big game for both sides, but it's still early days in the season. We're only on week 2. There's definitely nothing decided as of yet, and anything can change, as season 1 proved. So definitely don't, you can't put too much stock in too many of these early games, but it's always interesting to see who the early front runners are going to be. So last week we saw the Stack Attack and Tapu Lele doing some big work for Draco alongside that Haunter. That Haunter seemed to be so strong against the Tapu Bulu, against Aaron, and obviously Haunter has that Trick Room, has the ability for Ally Switch and Sucker Punch as well, which Draco was able to bring to Procco Weakness Policy and Unburden on that Dripling, making that little balloon go supersonic speed and super strong. So Crizzle is definitely going to have to keep an eye out for that, and Stack Attacker as well. There's potential for weakness policy there if Draco can get a Trick Room set up and sort of going. That Stack Attacker is going to be able to do some big work, so something to keep in mind. And on the side of Crizzle, obviously he has that very famous Venucle core. So far haven't seen any of it yet. Didn't make an appearance in week 1, so maybe it comes today, maybe not, who knows, we'll have to wait and see. But that Porygon Z and Togetic duo did quite a lot of work week 1, almost able to put a stop to Wio and Machamp as well. pretty strong Pokemon, you know, with that no guard ability can be pretty difficult to sort of play around. Obviously, it also has the, as we spoke about week 1, Octillery and Galvantula as well. Octillery with that Sniper and Moody ability can be a problem. And of course, has the Cobalion and Sneasel. So do we maybe see a beat up onto a Justified proc here and get that attack buff going on the Cobalion? That could be really difficult to deal with if Draco's not able to stop it. Without further ado, as you say again, let's move on to onto game 3 of the East Division then. And there is the lineups then, and there is a Cobalion and Sneasel in there, and it's Dracovish and Lele that kick off again for Draco, and it is Cobalion and the Sneasel. So are we going to see, as we just talked about, that beat up onto the Cobalion there? Can maybe Dracovish, you know, if it's running the Scarf with Strong Jaw, might be able to do just enough damage to that Cobalion to take it down. Or, you know, there's the potential for Lele to do something here. Got to find a way to stop that Sneasel. You know, if Sneasel is also, you know, is quite a fast mon. Could be running Scarf though, so that's going to be something that Draco's going to have to sort of keep an eye on. You know, Grizzle might choose to go for that, but the Hippowdon swaps in, gets that Sandstream set up, so it is actually Sandrush and Choice Band Dracovish, and the Vicious Rendo, he takes the Cobalion down half HP, and there is the beat up onto the Justified, and there the text goes as the attack goes higher and higher and higher. 2.5 times attack, 3 times attack for the Cobalion. There's the Steel Spike into the Hippowdon, and it goes straight down, so that that Cobalion with its Dynamax already looking super scary, and it's advantage Crizzle as he gets the first blood of the game. 1.5 times defense now as well. That Dracovish is fully nullified against the Cobalion, so it's looking pretty scary for Draco here, unless he's got an answer for that Cobalion. That Sneasel now can just either swap out or just sit pretty next to that Cobalion. I think at this point you've got to be focusing the Cobalion with that high attack. You know, maybe if the Haunter is about, there's maybe a Haze to come on the field that can maybe you know, drop those stats down from the Cobalion, so it's not doing as much damage. But not want to swap in. Tapu Lele does come in instead. Gets that Psychic Terrain back up again. Sandstorm still going. There's the Vicious Rend again. It's going to take it down to 20% HP. Triple Axle into the Lele. It doesn't quite take it out, but that means it's not Scarf Sneasel. There's the Airstream at the Dracovish, and Dracovish goes down as well. So now Cobalion has the speed, and there's the Reflect that goes up from Lele, but I think it's a little too late. That Lele is going to take some chip damage from the Sandstorm, and Cobalion takes another kill for itself, and in comes the Stack Attacker with the Air Balloon. The Stack Attacker is going to be moving so slowly here. You know, obviously it's got to go for the Dynamax, you would have thought, just to try and maybe even live and attack you, but I think this Cabalion's just got it. I don't think that Draco has an answer here, and this is going to be game 1. This Cobalion with the beat up has just absolutely wrecked house. Has run a tear on Draco, so great start from Crizzle. This game 1, but it's only game 1. There's still plenty of this game to go. There is the beat up onto the Lele, takes the Lele out. And there is the Max Knuckle from the Cobalion, takes out the Stack Attacker, and game 1 goes Crizzle's way. Cobalion just putting on an absolute clinic there as he moves into game 2, and there is Haunter and Blaziken this time. Blaziken, not a Pokemon you see all that often, and Crizzle choosing to go with the same lineup once again to get that beat up and then onto the and proc that Justified. If Haunter is running that Haze ability, might be something that Draco goes for, expecting the beat up here in the first turn. Can maybe put an immediate stop to Cobalion, and Blaziken's primed and ready to be able to you know, do an attack to take out Cobalion here. So it's Draco's swapped, you know, changed things up, and it's looking pretty promising for him as long as he can play this right. That's not a write-off Crizzle though. That duo is so unbelievably strong. If you can't put a stop to Cobalion, as we just proved with game 1, it can. It's just like a train without a buffer stop. It just keeps on going, keeps on chugging. Of course, just deciding what to do. As there's the Cobalion goes to the Dynamax. The beat up is coming from the Sneasel, you would expect. The Ally Switch comes out from the Haunter though this time, and beat up goes, and there you got the wall of text begins again. It's a repeat of game 1. Cobalion getting that 3 times attack, making it just such a scary monster. There is the Airstream onto the Haunter. That's going to take it down with Sash, so that's Haunter does manage to live. And there's the Flare, and the Cobalion is going to do another. Oh, it lives with 6% HP as the Blaziken gets a speed boost as well. It's not going to be enough though, because Airstream from the Kabalion I think is going to make it just so it's faster than the Blaziken here. So does Draco maybe try and go for the ally switch here, or does he try and get that haze? You know, it's whether or not the Haunter can live this next turn. If he can get that haze off, it's looking really good for him. But if not, how do you stop a Mon? I mean, it is good for him that Kabalion's down to 6% HP. That will be in the back of his mind. You know, he's still got a fully healthy Dynamax. There's the beat up into the Blaziken. Does a little bit of chip damage away there to the Blaziken. And there is the Airstream into the Blaziken, and Blaziken goes down. It's an Orco. Kabalion takes another victim, and there is the haze. Gets the stats reset, but that Dynamax is burnt though. And that's and yet another king kill for Kabalion. I think that must be like 4 at this point. It's super strong. Has done massive amounts of work for Crizzle here. In comes the Dracovish. Haze though has worked to Draco's favour though. If he does have that hip out and kicking in the back, he can maybe swap it in for that Haunter, but it's got to be careful because that Haunter's on 1% HP. There is the hip out and swap in, gets the Sunset up. Max Guard comes out from the Kabalion. A great call there from Crizzle, and the triple axe and the Draco doesn't quite take it out, but it's done some really good damage. Kabalion's Dynamax does end. Kabalion though still kicking around with that 6% HP. Whether it obviously can't go for another protect here, or does he? You know, maybe the double protect is the best option here, unless he just sort of, you know, resigns to losing the Kabalion here and gets something fresh set in. The Draco is going to have to be careful. That Haunter with only 1% HP, you know, 110 under the sand, and it's going to go down for his troubles. There is the Vicious Wren, does finally take out the Kabalion. There's the triple axle to take out the Dracovish. The Dracovish goes down. And there is the high horsepower into the Sneasel. So it's now a 2v2. But as we said, that Haunt is just about barely hanging on with its creepy looking claws. As in comes Togetic and Porygon C. And this is looking like a very much a hatchy-matchy for this game too. But you never know. Hippowdon might have something up its sleeve. You know, it is a pretty defensively strong Pokemon. But got to keep out that Togetic. Was living some pretty beefy attacks in week 1, running with that Eviolite under its belt. So once again, it's looking very much like no Venucall again from Crizzle, so keeping his opponents guessing. So major props to Crizzle. And Draco, as you said, just unable to stop the Kabalion. Ally Switch comes out from Draco, stops that Haunter from going down. The flinch though onto the Hippowdon, how huge could that be? His Haunter does go down from the Sandstorm. So the flinch from the Dark Pulse, unfortunately, going to be Draco's undoing. That's just the way the cookie crumbles in Pokemon. Helping Hand comes out from the Togetic. There's the Hyper Beam, from the Porygon Z. Takes it out, and Crizzle takes game number 2. Gets the 2-0 over Draco. Great games to both players there. Draco, as you said, unfortunately just didn't have an answer to the Kabalion in game 1. But major props to Crizzle getting that win, taking himself to 1-1 in the league. As Draco moves to 0-2. But as you said, it's still early days. If Season 1 proved anything, as you saw with like the likes of Aaron, with Dave, there's still plenty of time to come back. As we always say on the show, there's plenty of Pokemon left to play. And there really is. We've still got another 8 weeks to go. So Draco's, you know, I'm sure he'll be able to bring it back. And, you know, still played a really great game. You know, played really well that game too. And, yeah, smart stuff. And as we said at the start of the show, that East Division is looking super competitive. But next up, we have a huge game. We have a repeat of the British Pokemon League Season 1 Grand Finals. Miami Heat taking on the Bulu Boys. These two have come to head 5 times already. Latvian with a 3-2 as you know, over the Bulu Boys. And Latvians made a very strong start to the West Division, let's be honest. Got the Week 1 2-0 win over California Bastions, which, as we mentioned last week, as we spoke to him as pre-season, he said the only opponent he is really scared of is Orma, and he 2-0'd him. That's not a testament to just how strong Latvia and how much confidence he's coming into the season with. I don't know what, you know, has such a you know, once again, just so much variables to the team. Obviously, some returnees from Season 1, like the Machamp, this Cinderace, sorry, G-Max. There is a Centre Scorch in there, and the Blastoise also has the Glastrier and Whimsicott and Ashview single strike to add to his arsenal. That Glastrier under Trick Room is going to be looking super strong. You know, he said not to focus too much on Glastrier, but it's hard not to knowing just how strong the Elsa horse is. And you know, you can't turn your nose up at Slowking Galar as well. If Latvia improved anything in Season 1, that Slowbro Galar was super strong with the copycat Trick Room proc, and Slowking Galar, the evolved form, is no one to shake your head at either. Plenty of Pranksamons on that team, so gonna have to be careful of that. And of course, the Bulu boys on the other side, not making the greatest start. Our regular season winners from Season 1, not able to quite get it going against Jabba's Sand team, but maybe has a few more tricks under his sleeve for this week. Obviously, there's the potential for that Colossal Steam Engine, Weakness Policy proc, both Dragonite and Blacephalon capable of doing that, and a few more ones in there with Surf and Aqua Jet as well, so people need to keep an eye on that. Rillaboom put in a lot of work in week 1, sort of dragged that team to a game 2 win over Jabba, but it wasn't quite enough. Obstagoon as well with Defiant and Guts could be something to keep an eye on as well, you know, with Guts becomes such a strong Pokemon, and Mesprit as well, kind of an underrated support mon there, so this could go either way. If any of the last season meetings anything go by, this will either be super close or I'll be over in an absolute heartbeat. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Bulu boys taking on Miami Heat, and there's Miami Heat. So Centre Scorch could come back to haunt Matt here as Matt launches out with the Colossal and the Dragonite, as Lat launches with the Blastoise and Whimsicott. So Whimsicott obviously gets both sides with Speed Control, Trick Room and Tailwind. Gets Moonblast as well and a whole host of status moves. The Colossal goes straight for his G-Max. There's the Aqua Jet to proc that Weakness Policy and the Steam Engine, so that Steam Train is going super fast. Volcaliph does take out the Blastoise, but that Whimsicott is going to get the Trick Room up, and that's a disaster for Matt if he hasn't got that Mesprit kicking around in the back to try and reset the Trick Room, as in comes the Glastrier. This could be really bad news for Matt. That Glastrier obviously going to go for his Dynamax here and just start putting in the work. Is the Glastrier running Weakness Policy or Assault Vest? It's hard to tell at this point, but it's whether Matt's even going to get a move off with that Colossal going so fast now. You know, I would think it wouldn't survive a Max Quake, and Dragonite maybe do something, or does Lat maybe go to focus the Dragonite and take out obviously Dragonite 4 times weak to Ice Types. So Matt in a pretty bad spot. His Glastrier goes for his Dynamax, Helping Hand goes on the Whimsicott. There's the Max Quake to take out the Colossal. Colossal goes down, and it activates the Chilling there. There's the Air Slash into the Whimsicott, which is going to go down thanks to the Volcaliph damage. So it is now 2 mons down on, it is 3v2 for advantage for Matt, but Lat with most of the advantage here still has his Dynamax and has Trick Room up. Airstream comes in with that Room Service, so it's going to be going slower than everything on the field here, and that Blacephalon's in a bit of a bad spot with that Airstream. If it's got a Wicked Blow or a Sucker Punch, that Blacephalon's going to go down. The Hailstorm comes out, critical hit, the Sash does keep Dragonite around, and there is the Wicked Blow into the Blacephalon, gets the crit of course because of Wicked Blow, and Blacephalon goes down, but the Air Slash from the Airstream takes it out, and the Ice takes out the Dragonite. This game is going at 1,000,000 miles per hour. Sensational stuff from both, because in Tornadus is the last one unfortunately for Bulu boys. Glastrier still with the Dynamax. This is going to be game number 1 to Miami Heat. Max Hailstorm comes out. Tornadus just about hangs on through that Protect, but the Hailstorm is going to take it out. And there it is, in under 4 turns, Latvian takes game number 1. 1-0 to Latvian. What a game that was, as this time Matt switches up with the Blacephalon and Rillaboom. And on the other side of the field, we have got Blastoise and Whimsicott. Obviously, last time Matt got burned by the Fake Out on the Blastoise, so Matt's going to have to keep an eye out for that. Rillaboom running with that Grassy Seeds to get the defense buff. What type of speed control does Whimsy go for this time? Do we see maybe the Trick Room again, or do we see a Tailwind? Knowing Latvian, it won't be the same. The Protect comes out from the Rillaboom, stops that Fake Out. There's the Tailwind though. Mind Blown comes out. What damage is it going to do? It takes Whimsicott down with Sash, and Blastoise goes down to 50% HP as well as Blacephalon, so some big damage there, but I wonder what item is on that Blacephalon. If there's any choice item, it's obviously stuck into that, and you know, Rillaboom is not going to survive a Mind Blown, so Matt maybe looking to swap out the Rillaboom here. If it's got Colossal in the back, can maybe swap that in, and will proc the Steam Engine as well, so something Matt maybe needs to keep an eye on while that Tailwind's up. You know, it can be going way faster than at least the Blastoise. And yeah, Or does maybe Blacephalon swap out, you know, just allows it to come back in and reset that damage. That Blastoise though obviously can, well, it could go for a water spout. I guess it's still going to be doing big damage if the cold does swap in. That Whimsy as well is going to be the fastest thing on the field. If it's running an attack, maybe like a Moonblast. But there it is, the Center Scorch swaps in. Grassy Glad's a great swap in from Lap, stops that grass damage on Blastoise. Moonblast into the Blacephalon. There's the Mind Blown. Flash Fire on the Center Scorch, and it takes Rillaboom and Whimsicott and itself out. Big mistake there from Matt there. And that's 3 months down on 110. Center Scorch though just got its fire attacks boosted. Blastoise now swaps in, and in comes the Mesprit and the Colossal. So Matt losing 2 Mons on 110, and Whimsicott just going down to 3v2 now, and Matt still has his Dynamax. Matt also have his Dynamax as well, so you would expect that the Colossal is going to go for its G-Max here. Mesprit though, what has it got in its locker? What can it really do? Is looks to maybe set up a Trick Room, or you know, try and keep itself around, get a Protect going to sort of keep itself around for another time. But Center Scorch, is it about to come back to haunt Matt? And the Center Scorch goes for the Dynamax, Colossal goes for its G-Max. There's the Scald into the Mesprit. The Max Flutterby onto the Mesprit. Mesprit goes down for troubles, so Colossal with the auto-do, the Volcalith into the Center Scorch with the Charty Berry and the special attack grab on the cold as well, and that's hardly done anything to the Center Scorch. So a big turn there, but Colossal with it all to do. No Weakness Policy proc, no Steam Engine proc, so it's the slowest thing on the field while the Tailwind is still kicking around. So Matt now can't get any kind of speed control with Whimsicott gone, but it might not matter at this point, as Center Scorch can just keep special attack around. The Max Guard comes out from the Colossal, Max Overgrowth into Colossal from the Center Scorch. Volcalith doing a little bit more chip damage, but not quite enough, as the grassy terrain from the Rillaboom is just sort of replenishing that health. This is looking like game number 2. Lat about to get the turn. There's the close combat. Does proc that weakness policy on the Colossal at least. Max Overgrowth into the Colossal. That's not going to do too much. And there is the Volcalith into the Airstream. So it does get another kill on the board, but is now 1v2. Colossal with it all to do still has one. But no, the G-Max does end for the Colossal as well. So Colossal now up against it, against Center Scorch and Blastoise. That is going to be it. For sure, Blastoise is going to be able to get the job done now. Exactly, I at least made it past 10-4 this time. We're into 10-5. As I said, me and Lat, it always goes one or two ways. Either it's an absolute spectacle or it's just over in absolutely no time at all. And the Center Scorch switching from Lat, super smart stuff. Played it really, really well. Honestly, I don't even remember that game 1. It was over so quickly. It was just like a blur to me. It was just like boom, 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 boom. That is going to be it. Scald comes out, gets the Colossal down. Latvian gets the 2-0 win over Bulu Boys to consign Bulu Boys to the 0-2 record. Meanwhile, Latvian moves to 2-0. Our Season 1 champion starting out Season 2 super, super strong. Massive GG's to Lat. Always have fun games with that guy. Tried the Colossal thing and it didn't, you know, I read on Twitter that the Colossal Aquajet thing, it never fails, right? I've been lied to. I've been completely lied to. Nobody warned me about Trick Room, right? I don't have the smarts to think about that. Nah, man. Really fun game. And, you know, I've got to try and bounce back as we move on to week 3. But it's still early days. But Latvian starting out super, super strong. And looking like a pretty damn formidable opponent for anyone in the league. So you would expect Latvian is going to be looking to make the playoffs run once again. But as we said, early days, anything can happen. As we move on into game number 2, Slithering Sceptiles versus 200 Candies. Candies not making the best of starts to life in the British Pokemon League, losing out to Silly in a 2-1 fashion. It's got a very interesting team, as we alluded to last week. Loads of different sort of conditions he can run. It's got the Snorlax and potential Rage Powders with Tangrowth and Butterfree. Has got the Chansey Shuckle duo as well, so, and the Draggable Terrakion potential beat up Justified run there as well. So loads of different cores in Candy's team, and it makes it very, very difficult to guess against. So Jabba is going to have to be at his best to put a stop to this. And as we saw in week 1, Jabba with the Sandcore of Tyranitar and Sandra Dracozolt putting a massive stop to Bulu Boys and getting the 2-1 win. T-Tyre Dracozolt, such a strong duo. And we even saw an appearance from Sandaconda G-Max with the low pony after you as well. So lots of different ways that Jabba can run this. Can also obviously run the Follow Me with Bronzong to get a Trick Room set up. And that Bronzong is a really good Trick Room user. able to bring in Bronzong as well with the levitate ability, can stop any ground moves going off, so has got that available as a switch in. And we saw just how strong Arcanine was in week 1, that currently sits at the top of the kill leaderboard as well, so something Candies is going to have to be mindful of as well. But I'm going to stop yabbering and jabbering. Let's get into this second game of the West Division. Slivering Sceptiles versus 200 Candies, as Jabba leads with the Torjikis and the Tyranitar, and Candies running with the Butterfree and the Torracat. So Torracat with that Intimidate, Sandstorm obviously coming out from that T-Tar as well. You'd always expect the Sandstream ability. So very, very interesting lead by Candies, but obviously has a trick up his sleeve, has something in mind. That, as you said, that Butterfree does have access to Rage Powder, has access to a whole bunch of status moves. Fake Out comes out from the Torracat, stops that T-Tar from getting off, but the Thunder Wave from the Torjikis comes out the Torracat, and the Sleep Powder from the Butterfree. More Sleep Powders. This is just the weakest Sleep Powders, as Torjikis gets put to bed by Butterfree, and that is turn 1. No actual damage being done. Godzilla gets flinched, the T-Tar, Torracat gets paralyzed. Rage Powder comes out this time from the Butterfree. Parting Shot from the Torracat drops the attack even further on the T-Tar and the special attack. As in comes Porygon 2, gets that download but only procs 1.5 times attack. Chaos comes out from the T-Tar, drops its speed and does get some of that attack back and gets a defense boost as well. So looks very much like Jabba is going to try and get that, maybe that Bronzong in to get a Trick Room up, or is maybe just trying to, just slow things down. Intim comes out again onto the T-Tar. That T-Tar's attack being fully nullified. It's Sleep Powder again from the Butterfree. So both Torjikis and T-Tar sleep, and Torjikis, as we move into turn 3, is still asleep. Turn 4 now. Torjikis still hasn't woken up, so not really a disaster start from Jabba, but also less than ideal as well. Said Torracat is also paralyzed, and there's Sandstorm chip damage going off as we speak, but no one down as we move into turn 4. There's the Bug Buzz onto the T-Tar, not really doing all that much. An Overheat from the Torracat, does a big chunk of damage on the Torjikis, but does drop that Torracat special attack for its troubles. Once again, turn number 5. I think this is the longest we've ever gone without any point. This is such a juxtaposition to Bulu Boys versus Miami Heat. They that was over in 4 turns, and here we are at turn 5 between these two, and no one's down. Everyone still has all their Pokemon up, so really weird stuff. But there's the Torjikis does wake up. Follow Me comes off the touch with the Sleep Powder again. Candy's expecting that. Overheat comes out. Torjikis not quite going down. There's the Rock Slide from the T-Tar, but it does take out the Butterfree even with those attack drops. So T-Tar doing some big damage as Sandstorm ends. That's how long we've been going. Some big damage as well. A Torracat as well. In comes Porygon 2. Does get that special attack boost this time. So big stuff for Candies. That P2 can start doing some really big damage now. I do realize as well I forgot to go over the teams before we got into this one, so I do apologise. T-Tar does swap out to try and, reset the stuff. Sandaconda comes in. Torjikis says sleep. There's the Will-O-Wisp onto the Sandaconda. Candy's just slowly starting to chip away at T-Tar's attack. Sandspit gets the Sandstorm back up, but the Hailstorm does take out the Sandaconda, and Torjikis now goes down to the sand, and it is advantage Candy's 3v2 as T-Tar now coming back in with fresh stat, and Bronzong, the final mon for Jabba as well. P2 still has its Dynamax going. Has 2 more turns of that, but Jabba's yet to use his Dynamax. So, a really sort of game of I hate to use the phrase again, but game of attrition once again here. But Jabba just playing it super slow and super smart, just using the switch-ins wisely, and both players just sort of chipping away at each other, just trying to psych each other out. There's T-Tar with his Dynamax. Paraprox on the Torracat. Gets the Rockfall onto the P2 this time. Bit of damage there. Hailstorm into T-Tar. It's not really going to do all that much, but does reset the weather as Trick Room goes up the Bronzong. That's going to really benefit Bronzong. Not so much T-Tar, but that Bronzong now can maybe start running some attacks, maybe some status moves, or if it is running Body Press, as Bronzong does typically do. Body Press is going to be doing some big damage against P2. So it's something that Candies is going to have to watch out for. You can't. There's the Max Guard. There is the Body Press. As that Max Guard stops it from doing anything. Darkness, into the Torracat. Gets the special defense drop, and Torracat now goes down. It is now 2v2. All evened up here as P2's Dynamax does end. And in comes the Dragapult now. But Trick Room is up, so this could be a disaster for Candies. Trick Room is up in that we know that Tita has the Darkness. There's the Body Press into P2. P2 goes down. There's the Max Darkness into Dragapult. And Dragapult goes down. And Jabba, all of a sudden the game's over. And Jabba wins this first game. Really great stuff from Jabba there. Really smart stuff to save his Dynamax on his Tita. And gets the game 1 win. Tita and Dragapult this time. The Sand duo that we saw in week 1. Attack drops from the Intim on that Torracat though. But that Dracozolt, I would expect, is probably running Choice Band again as we saw in week 1. And you know, Sand Rush, that's going to be moving real fast. And does Jabba go to ban his Dynamax straight off the bat? Does he maybe wait patiently? It worked so well from him in game 1, but Candy's choosing to go for the same duo once again of Torracat and Butterfree in it, just try and nullify the attack on both mons, you know, with Will-O-Wisps and Sleep Powders. Just try and sort of annoy Jabba to death by the looks of things. Butterfree swaps out, and there's the Snorlax. Volbeat takes Snorlax down half HP. The Agua Berry does proc, gets Snorlax back up to 77% HP. The burn on the Dracozolt from the Will-O-Wisp. There's the Curse on the Tita. Gets itself back to neutral attack and buffs its defense as well, so that Tita's now got some pretty chunky defense to keep itself around. It's going to be slower than the Torracat now, I would have thought, but at least faster than that Snorlax. You'd expect the Snorlax is going to go for its G-Max and get some G-Max replenishes off. Will mean that it gets has a chance to roll to get that Agua Berry back and get some HP back. Could make it a little bit difficult. Even there is the G-Max from the Snorlax. Boltbeak into it's hardly doing anything. There's the Will-O-Wisp into the Tita now. Rock Slide onto does hit both. Not really doing too much Torracat, but there's the Max Wormwind onto Dracozolt. Dracozolt does live through that, but another attack drop on Tita. That Tita is just fully nullified now, as Dracozolt's down to 0.5 times attack and with the burn. I think even with Choice Band, it's not going to matter too much. So Candies have done a great job of just really nullifying the damage from Jabba here, you know, knowing how strong both those mons are, both really big physical damages. Boltbeak still doing some big damage there. There's the parting shot of the Tita, like it needed to start dropping anymore. Torracat does live from that Boltbeak though, and swaps out, and Butterfree now comes in. There's the Rock Slide though, that's still doing big damage to Butterfree, and some chip damage as well as the G-Max Replenish does take out the Dracozolt. There's the first blood to Candies. Sandstorm doing a little bit of chip damage to both Butterfree and Snorlax as well. They're both below half HP, as in comes the Togekiss. So many red stat drops there on Tita, you know, Candies have just completely nullified that thing. We should have like a count on the screen for how many times I've said nullified this game. Oh man. But yeah, Togekiss now swaps in. We know that thing has a Thunder Wave, has got Follow Me as well, so running a full support Togekiss puts in the work. It's such a bulky mon, Togekiss. Tita does swap out, in comes the Bronzong. There's the Thunder Wave onto the Butterfree. Sleep Powder though does hit, puts the Togekiss to sleep again. But G-Max Replenish takes Togekiss down below half HP and doesn't get the berry back. Snorlax's G-Max does end, so Candies has burned his Dynamax / G-Max. Jabba still has it available on his side. I would expect he's waiting to bring Tita back into the fold to get it going again. Bronzong now potentially going to look to set up that Trick Room once again. Know how strong it was, that body press. Togekiss stays asleep. No one time away. The Para does proc on the Butterfree. There's the Darkest Lariat and the Bronzong, but Bronzong just tanks it. Body press takes Snorlax down to 3% HP, and the Sand ends that turn as well. So Jabba was maybe counting his lucky stars, but the Snorlax was going to go down to the Sand, but the Sand does end, and Snorlax does just hang on. So Candy's still with all 4 mons, and Jabba won't have enjoyed seeing that, but still in a strong position. If you can maybe get another Power Land on that Butterfree. Togekiss stays asleep. Butterfree goes gets powered. Double Edge does take out Togekiss, but Snorlax takes itself out with the recall damage. There's the Body Press on the Butterfree. It's not going to do too much, but it's now a 2v3 as it's just Tita and Bronzong once again to do all the work, as in comes Torracat. Gets that Intim on the Tita, just doing more and more stat drops. And as we move on into turn 7, just such a different game to our previous game. I just can't actually believe it. But great stuff, and this has been absolutely sensational stuff, you know. 2 great minds at work here, just trying to psych each other out. As their Tita does now go for its Dynamax. Fake out, that's not going to do much. And there's the Sleep Powder in the Bronzong. Bronzong does go to sleep. Max Rockfall into the Butterfree is going to take it out. I think Jabba is hoping that the Sandstorm is maybe going to take Torracat out. Torracat goes down to 6% HP. Another turn of Sand. That Torracat is going to be gone as in comes P2. Does get the special attack buff, but is it running any other special moves other than the Ice Beam? You'd maybe expect this thing to run Tri Attack. Obviously, Season 1, we saw Bulu boys use the special attack in P2, much to effect. Gets a good little range of special attacks. Can Jabba make it the 110? The Ockerberry procs on the Bronzong, so that keeps it alive thanks to the overheat. Max Darkness into the P2 now, drops its special defense, does a little bit of damage, 20% damage. Tri Attack into the T-Tar, that's not really doing a lot. And the Bronzong does wake up, and there is the Trick Room. That could be really, really huge for Jabba. And there, the Torracat does go down. It is now 1v2. P2 with it all to do. And Godzilla has another turn. Godzilla the T-Tar has another 2 turns of its Dynamax to go. What can he get going here? You know, Bronzong proved just how strong that body press can be in game 1. You know, does P2 maybe have recover? It had recovered last week against Silly, so you'd expect it to be coming out again. There is the body press. P2 just about hangs on. There's the recover as we expected. Takes itself back up to half HP. There's the Max Quake. Gets the speed death boost on both T-Tar and Bronzong. So that's going to really stop P2 doing much damage. And T-Tar Dynamax does now end. Porygon 2 is going to alter. I don't think it's going to live another body press. There is the body press as Jabba takes game number 2. Absolutely amazing stuff from Jabba there. What a game that turned out to be. Brilliant stuff. You know, the way that game was going, I was like, oh, we are going to a game 3. This is going to be, you know, something amazing. But I think that's maybe got to be one of my games of the season so far. It was just so amazing to watch. Like, even though like so little was happening, it was just like both guys were just sort of like mind games trying to work away at each other. And so GG's to both Jabba and Candies. Candies moves to the 0-2, and Jabba, one of our new boys, going to 2-0, so making the perfect start so far. So massive props to Jabba. You know, he's proved that he's not just a one-trick pony with the T-Tar and the Drake results. So really great stuff that Bronzong really putting in the work. As we move on to our final game of week 2, Long Island Goomies versus the California Bastiodons. Goomies with that week 1 over 200 Candies who we just saw play there, bringing the familiar duo of Hatterene and Didi that Aaron so loved to use in Season 1. You know, Hatterene G-Max is so strong. You know, with that G-Max smite, you know, if you're not prepared for confusions, can be really difficult to stop. Dragalge as well, putting in some work with the Haze. And Starmie, who would have thought Starmie would be the MVP there, but, you know, while that Psychic Terrain's up, Expanding Force is doing so much damage. Zapdos' Galar as well, really coming to Silly's aid, getting some big kills there, so really strong start from Silly, and that's what we want to see. On the other side though, California Bastiodons not really making the ideal start to week 1, getting 2-0'd by Latvian's Miami Heat, and the game 1 just wasn't close at all. I was nearly able to bring it back in game 2, but Latvian just proved too strong, so he'll be looking to bounce back and get a big win here. Obviously, has that Duck Trio to use Bulldoze to proc that Metagross's weakness policy. Has a Moongus for that Rage Powder. We know just how bulky and strong a Moongus can be. And we saw Sylveon with Substitute last week. So will we see the Sylveon once again, you know, with that Throat Spray? Can really get some good special attack damage going. Hitmontop as well is something to watch out for. Gets a good amount of status moves available to it. Obviously has Intimidate as well. Gets Quick Guard, gets Wide Guard, gets Fake Out. And does have that Edge through Rapid Strike available to him as well. So Surging Strikes could be really big here, but I wouldn't have thought with the threat of Hatterene he'll risk it. But we'll wait and see as we'll have a look at our final game of week 2, Long Island Goomies versus the California Bastiodons. And we launch right in when it is Starmie and Excadrill and Doug Trio and Metagross that launches Mold Breaker Excadrill this time. And it's looking very much like Oma is going to go for that Doug Trio Bulldoze Weakness Policy proc on the Metagross. It's going to drop the speed of everything else on the field as well, so could be useful. There you go, the Excadrill goes for Dynamax, proves it's faster. The flip turn onto the Excadrill, and it's going to proc a Weakness Policy there, and Starmie's going to swap out and get a great switch in there. In comes the Hydreigon. Bulldoze comes out, Levitate stops Hydreigon taking any speed drops, but is that going to affect Excadrill? Metagross gets its Weakness Policy. Max Quake comes out and the Excadrill goes straight down. Speed drop proving too much. That Metagross, obviously with the heightened speed stats with its, I'm guessing with some heightened DVs, Metagross gets the kill as in comes Indeedee. So Silly wasting his Dynamax straight. Well, not wasting, but getting unfortunate there as Metagross takes it out. Great turn there from Oma as he gets the 2 times attack, 2 times special attack, and the 1.5 times special defense boost from that Max Quake. So it's going to completely nullify, you know, the likes of Indeedee, Hydreigon. In comes Chandelure. There is the follow me. Nasty Plot goes off for the Hydreigon, and there's the Max Rockfall into the Indeedee. That's going to take it down with Sash, but the Sand is going to mean that the Indeedee goes down, so that's already 2 down for Silly. So a really bad start, but Hydreigon does get the 2 times special attack from that. Starmie now swaps back in. So Starmie and Hydreigon to do all of the work against Dynamaxed Metagross with the Sandstorm special defense buff, with the special defense buff from Max Quake. This could be very tough. There's the Alastris from Chandelure. It's a Scald into Metagross. That's not doing enough. There's the Dark Pulse. It's going to take out the Chandelure, but there is the Rockfall from the Metagross. That's going to take out Hydreigon. That is going to be it for sure. The Starmie, I'm guessing running Scarf, I would have to expect, unless it is just, you know, naturally faster. I don't think it's got enough in it to take 3 mons out. In comes Dugtrio. Metagross's Dynamax does end, but a great 3 turns there from Omalite, proving just why Latvian talked him up so well. Really strong start. You know, Silly not even getting to use his extra the weakness was bro. There's a Scald into Dugtrio, so Starmie just pick up a kill. There's the Rock Slide into the Starmie. Starmie just about hangs on, and through the Sandstorm damage. Sylveon now swaps in 2v1. This is going to be game number 1 though. That's going to do it. Scald into the Sylveon's not really doing very much. There is the Iron Head. Starmie goes down and Oma takes game number 1. That Metagross so strong in that first game. You know, Silly with just no answer to it, and that same duo for him lines up again as Indeedee and Hydreigon this time. Sets up the Psychic Terrain to stop any priority moves going off. That's obviously not going to affect Bulldoze, so Silly is going to have to, you know, keep an eye out for that. You know, Dugtrio is just naturally fast to where it's able to do that. Just Silly maybe go for a Follow Me and a Nasty Plot. You know, Hydreigon typically does run a Fire move on there, so you could go for the Dynamax. In comes the Sylveon. There's the Rock Slide from the Dugtrio. Does a bit of chip damage. That is going to at least break the Indeedee Sash. A little bit of damage to Hydreigon as well. Gets that special attack. But the Sylveon now bops into the field, and we know just how strong Sylveon can be. And against Hydreigon, Hydreigon's not going to enjoy taking any very attacks. Protect comes out from the Hydreigon. There's the Rock Slide into the Indeedee, taking a little bit more damage. Expanding Force just takes out the Dugtrio. Dugtrio doesn't stand a chance. Substitute comes out from the Sylveon. That's going to allow it to take any super effective attacks and still get itself set up maybe with a Throat Spray. Metagross swaps in now. Obviously can't get that Weakness Policy proc from Dugtrio, but that's not to say it's not going to be able to, you know, be a strong, you know, opponent here for Silly. You know, if he's got no answer for it, it's going to be difficult to stop. You know, you'd hope he maybe has a Fire move or you know, a Dark move on that Hydreigon to be able to put a stop to Metagross. Metagross does go for its Dynamax. No Dynamax from Silly. He tries the double protect. There's a Steel Spike into the Indeedee. Indeedee goes down. It is now 3v3. There's the Hyper Voice into the Hydreigon. Hydreigon goes down. He tried the double protect. It doesn't work. And it's now all up to Excadrill and the Dragalge. Metagross now with its Dynamax. Obviously Silly trying to hold out, I'm guessing, for the Excadrill Dynamax instead. So it's 2v3. Sylveon still with its substitute going. So that is going to have to be something that Silly's got to be careful of, you know, that Sylveon can still do big damage behind that cute little green little teddy bear. So smart stuff this from Oma. Silly not completely out of this. There is the Excadrill's Dynamax. Protect comes out from the Dragalge. The Excadrill is going to be faster. Steel Spike into the Sylveon does mean this the substitute fades. Gets the defense buff. Max Quake comes out from the Metagross, but the Protect stops that from doing too much damage. Mystical Fire from the Sylveon is going to proc the Weakness Policy on the Excadrill. Has that defense buff, and now it does have that 2 times attack. Is faster than the Metagross, so if it can maybe get a Quake off here, I think it's going to be able to take out the Metagross, which would be great stuff for it, but you know, is it going to be enough? Silly's got to be careful, because if he doesn't take out the Metagross, that Metagross is going to get its own Weakness Policy procs, and it's going to be so difficult to stop at this late stage of the game. Both staring issues down. Protect comes out from this, Detect, sorry, Max Quake, and the Metagross doesn't quite go down, it lives. Gets the special defense buff, but it's not going to be enough. There's the Policy proc on the Metagross. Quake comes in, Excadrill goes down, it's all up to Dragalge now. Sludge Bomb into the Sylveon gets stopped by the Detect. Metagross's Dynamax does, and so Metagross hang on that. There's a Stomping Tantrum. Doesn't quite take it out. The Hyper Voice though on the Dragalge hangs on. Draco Meteor is going to finally take out that Metagross. Drops the special attack on that Dragalge, and I think that is going to be it regardless. That Dragalge is so slow. The Sylveon has the Hyper Voice, and Chandelure now comes in. That is going to be GG's. Orma picking up the 2-0, completely refreshing his first week scoreline. 2-0 win for the California Bastiodons. Gets himself back into winning ways. 1-1 record. Great games from Orma there. Silly just had absolutely no answer for that Venus Policy Metagross. I think was maybe hoping that even after the bulldoze that the Excadrill would still be faster, but that was just a risk he took with it. You could see what he was trying with it. So GG's to both players. Props to Silly, he tried it there and it just didn't quite work out for him, but that is the way the cookie crumbles. Teams still working each other out in this early stage of the league, and there's going to be games just like that as we're still only in week 2. But moving on into week number 3, let's take a look at our league tables then. Just a second here as I bring it up. Right then, league table. Moving into week 3, as you can see in the West Division, Miami Heat sitting pretty at 2-0 with a +4 record, closely followed by Jabba's Slithering Sceptiles at a 2-0 record as well. So one of the new boys making a brilliant start there. California Bastions and Goomies in 3rd and 4th, both on 1-1 record. But our Season 1 regular season champs, Bulu boys, down there at 0-2, sharing a record with Candies, so both tied for 5th technically. So not the greatest start there from Bulu boys or Candies, but that's not to say that they're out of it yet. And on the East Division, Aaron's Inglorious Surfers takes first place for the first time in British Pokemon League history. Surfers with a 2-0 record, a great game there against Dugsy's Shadow Kings. Great 2-0 win. Followed by Crizzle's South Croydon Saws, who picked up the 2-0 win over Draco. Toadstar Belgrade and Shadow Kings, both 3rd and 4th. Both losing out in week 2, going to 1-1. Newcastle Thundurus stay 5th, but are now 1-1. So do share a record with all the teams above them. And Celtic Celebes down there with the 0-2 record. But as I say, it's still early days. Draco still has plenty of chance to bring this back. Let's take a quick look at next week's schedule then. Week number 3. Bulu boys take on the Long Island Goomies. So Bulu boys will be looking to get their first win of the season against Goomies, who's obviously going to be wanting to bounce back after that loss to Ormalite. Jabba takes on Miami Heat, so that is a huge game. First versus second in the West Division, both on a 2-0 record. Who keeps the perfect record moving into week 3? We'll have to wait and see. And Candies takes on California Bastiodons. So just like Bulu boys, Goomies, Candies will be looking to get that first win. Ormo will be looking to carry on that win from this week. And in the East Division, Dogsy takes on Crizzle. Shadow Kings versus South Croydon Saws. Obviously, Dogsy losing out this week. Crizzle getting the win. So both alternating bits of form there. And that'll be a close game. Newcastle Thundurus take on Inglorious Surfers. Dave, the only person to beat Aaron twice over a season. So Dave, the only person Aaron yet to pick up a win against. And finally, Toadstar Belgrade, who lost out this week to Newcastle Thundurus, as aforementioned, taking on Draco's Celtic Celebes. So Celtic Celebes will be looking to get that first win of the season. Against Toadstar Belgrade. But that is going to do it for this week. That's all I've got time for. I hope you all really enjoyed this week of the British Pokemon League. We will be back this Sunday at the later time of 7 PM. Times are a bit all over the place. Unfortunately, my work schedule is just crazy at the moment. So the schedule for the shows are going to be a little bit auto-pop, but as I said, I hope you've enjoyed. I have been your host, Matt Starr. I just want to say before we end though, quick shout out to Big Dog Dave for doing all of the graphics for the British Pokemon League show. We wouldn't be here without him. He's doing some amazing work, so if we can all give Dave a massive thanks and shout out, doing some brilliant work. But again, I'm your host, Matt Starr. I will see you all Sunday. See you then.